Jeffrey! Get the lube, Jeffrey! The year is 2022, and welcome to the future, my boys, because guess what? Culture is decaying. Culture has completely lost the plot. Welcome back, my beautiful sinners, to another great video here on the majestic Savior Show. Who am I, you might be wondering? Well, I'm the Savior. I'm not just some crazy man in his bedroom, sitting on the floor, talking to a camera. No, this is an established, very progressive, family-friendly show, okay? That's what Savior is known for, okay? So if you are new to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe, because, I'm perfectly family-friendly, okay? So don't worry about that. We are a professional organization here, boys. Support my channel by checking out my music on Spotify and downloading it, and consider becoming a member for extra content, and I will give you a shout out at the end of each video if you do subscribe, okay? So, subscribe, go on, subscribe, smash the like button, demolish it. Now today, boys, that's right, we have something very, very juicy. Now, first of all, let me just say I love Lord of the Rings. I mean, I am a massive fan of Lord of the Rings. You have no idea how much Lord of the Rings really impacted my childhood and how much it means to me, because I grew up in the countryside. I'm a very small person myself, and I've always identified as a hobbit. I don't know if that's legal. You have to call me by my respected pronouns, which is Hobbit Savior, okay? So just remember that. No, but in all seriousness, okay, I really do identify as a hobbit because my family is very small. I lived pretty much in the middle of nowhere and grew up in the countryside, and I'm a big fantasy fan, okay? Science fiction, all of that nerdy good shit, okay? I absolutely love the world that Tolkien made, and I really love the books, although they are very dense. I've seen the 3 original Lord of the Rings movies, the extended edition, which goes on for, days and days and days. That's how much of a life I have. But no, in all seriousness, it is truly amazing stuff. We're never going to see movies like that ever again. That's the sad reality. We're never going to see such amazing, detailed, amazing practical effects being used, these massive sets being made, having all of these, camera tricks to try and, get the actors, in the same scene but be different sizes, not by using some tacky CGI, but some real amazing practical effects, building these miniature cities and then, scaling them up to look real like they do in the movies. All of this amazing stuff, Lord of the Rings is so special to me, and I think to many people it really is. The music, the soundtrack, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I went hiking when I was, a teenager and a boy with my friends, and we would listen to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack as we were hiking. It would give you the sense of adventure. It just really captured my imagination. I absolutely loved the Lord of the Rings to the core, okay? And The Hobbit, it was shit, okay? Can I just say that? I'm sorry if you're a Hobbit fan, that's fine, you can like it, but the movies are complete fucking trash, okay? They're absolutely terrible, and it's not really surprising because it's the most tiniest book, okay? Out of all of the Lord of the Rings, the books, The Hobbit is the smallest one, and they try and stretch that out into 3 goddamn movies. So what the hell do you expect? Of course it's going to be absolute trash, and that's when we started to see the decay of movie making, not so much the progressive woke bullshit that is now contaminated most movies, but I'm talking about using endless CGI effects and, just this bloated garbage, terrible writing, just sloppy character development, and bland cinematography. But now, boys, that's right, press F in the chat, okay? F in the chat, boys, F in the chat, because now it's 2022, and we live in a Blade Runner future dystopia. Have you not noticed? Zucky wants everyone to join the metaverse, where we can all buy digital land and farm our Bitcoin all day long. Doesn't that sound like a great time? Forget crops, forget nature, forget the climate. Let's just live in Zucky's world and join the wonderful dystopia, shall we? Let us Let us bow down to the corporate lords and let us never again have media or entertainment that makes us think or that is entertaining or it is somehow not connected to the real world. That is not allowed in the future, I'm afraid. No. Everything must be parallel to the wonderful social climate that we all live in today, because that's fucking entertainment, isn't it? Oh, okay. So, boys, Lord of the Rings has now been fucking ruined by a bunch of woke snowflake douchebags, okay? And I don't like to use that terminology. I'm not political. I'm not on either side. I think they're both fucking retarded if you're super aligned to a political group, be it right, be it left, whatever, okay? You're a fucking idiot for playing identity politics and having group mentality and tribal thinking dictate your sad little lives, okay? Instead, you know what would be great? Is if we all accepted each other's opinions, had real discussions, and understand that, hey, it's okay that you think my taste is absolute shit in whatever it is, or you think that my philosophy on life is completely wrong. That's okay? I can say the same thing about anyone else. That's the whole point, is we have discussions, and by having discussions, we can get closer to the truth and find a permanent, better solution for humanity moving forward. Sorry, I think I blacked out there for a second. I might have went on a little rant, but, it's not my fault. The deities possessing me just sometimes take over my body, okay? So, boys, the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power! Yeah, are you excited? Are you pumped up, baby? Are you ready for the next level of entertainment? Yeah, I'm ready for it. I'm pretty pumped up. I'm ready to see my childhood get completely fucking destroyed. Are you? The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power has now been co-opted by this new wonderful 2022 agenda that we have seen creeping in the last decade or so. You know, this ultra wokeism, as I like to call it, this progressive mentality, this just absolute crazy amount of diversity acceptance that we now see within all media. That's, books, TV shows, games. It's pretty much in everything, and it's especially true with movies and TV shows. It's even more obvious now because these corporate cocksuckers like Amazon and Nesquik, okay, they love to produce absolute trash, because Amazon and all of these massive corporations, okay, they don't care about being decent people because they're not decent people. They care only about profit. They care about understanding humanity to further control humanity, divide humanity, so they have a monopoly over humanity and entertainment. As the world gets more and more corporate, and we see that corporations have more and more power, and certain individuals with a lot of capital that can influence the market, politics, pretty much everything, entertainment, media, fantasy, storytelling, which is very, very important for human nature because we've been telling stories for thousands and thousands of years. We're now going to see all of that become homogenized, if that makes sense. Is that a real word? I don't know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is all media now will be the same. It's all going to have this type of agenda forced into it. And let me just say, it's so stupid. I just want to make this perfectly clear. I really am not aligned with any kind of political group. I really don't care about politics. I think most people are happy with diversity and all of that good stuff. I see people as people. I don't separate them into categories. And the funny thing is, the people who are calling for massive amounts of diversity and equality and this progressive wokeism, okay, they are the people actually splitting up humanity into groups, pushing people back into group mentality thinking and these dangerous ideologues and all of this kind of garbage, because they don't actually see people as people. They see people as different categories, as different tribes, and although they try and hide behind the idea like, ooh, we just want everyone to come together, we just want everyone to be treated the same, women, people of color, LGBTQ, everyone must come together and everyone must be accepted. And this is the real world. That's never gonna happen. Calling attention to something basically highlights that there's a difference between certain people. When in fact, if you want to destroy racism, you shouldn't view people as their skin color. You should view people just as people, but by calling attention to it 24/7, by pushing it constantly in everyone's faces that, ooh, this has to be diverse, or this has to have LGBTQ people, or by policing language, saying that people can't use their own speech anymore when talking to another individual. This is how you get a massive problem, because you're making the problem exist. You people who are calling for all of this diversity are actually the problem. And if you can't see that, then I'm afraid you're completely fucking mental.
You're gonna relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, well, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not? Do you want one?
No.
I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism?
Stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man.
Huh? It's pretty simple if we actually look at the problem. If we treat people like people, if we stop categorizing people into different tribal groups and having this them versus us mentality, we can actually move forwards and become better as people, better as a species by understanding different perspectives, philosophies, discussing these things. But the problem is, this woke agenda that these corporations have adopted now is basically a new currency for them. They are rated on how progressive and how woke they are. That's a real thing. They actually have ratings based on this aspect. I'm not even joking. And this, I don't know how it happens, but this basically makes them have more value or less value. So it's a very important thing. And you have to understand just how important this is now, because this is a new type of currency and it's not just gonna suddenly go away. So the only way we can stop it is by fighting against it, because most people, funny enough, aren't racist. Most people aren't against diversity. There might be a small percentage of absolute horrible idiots. So why are people so upset, Savior, about Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power? Why has the Rings of Power gone woke? Does this mean that Lord of the Rings of Power sucks now? Does this mean that Lord of the Rings of Power is bad now and it's not even going to be worth watching? Does this mean that the Rings of Power sucks and that the Rings of Power is bad and it's going to be a trash television show? Well, maybe, because I wouldn't hold out much hope. But the problem is, now, this is really affecting storytelling. It's a bigger issue than this, okay? Because we have seen it time and time again now, and it's so clear now that it's never going to go away. It's destroyed Star Wars, it's going to destroy Lord of the Rings, and, the thing is, this is supposed to be fantasy. This is supposed to be a completely different universe. It has its own lore. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, does it? If you look at it. And the real sick thing is, now that people are, outraged by this, the media, the mainstream media like Vanity Fair, or I'll show you another one, okay, in a second, another article, these people are now saying that the fan base is racist and that they just don't want to see a diverse cast. And that's not the issue. That's not what people are upset about. Maybe a small demographic of people are upset about that, but like I said, they're idiots. They are racist. They are dumb idiots, okay? But most sensible people, like I said, don't view things in black and white. We accept everyone for who they are as an individual. At least that's how you should view the world. But the problem is, this is fiction. This is a universe that Tolkien created, and nowhere in the lore, in the history books of the Lord of the Rings, okay, has there been, I mean, look at this. This is a dwarf woman. Does that make sense to you? Does this picture make sense to you in the context of Lord of the Rings and the lore behind Lord of the Rings? No, not really. It doesn't, okay? Because fantasy doesn't have to represent our world. It doesn't have to represent our social climate right now. The whole point of it is it's completely separate from the times that we live in. Having stories and entertainment all be linked with the real world and the social political climate is just ridiculous, and it's going to ruin all storytelling from now on, because it's all going to have this agenda, you know, smashed into it, this group communism kind of ideology that's really going to damage, you know, the younger generation and just storytelling in general, because it means nothing can take risks anymore, nothing can be unique, nothing can have its own unique creative ideas. No longer will we see unique stories have its own creative settings and history and background and fantasy. That's the whole point of this. It just doesn't make any sense. Another reason why people are really upset with the Rings of Power and why they think the Rings of Power sucks is because they are destroying not only the storytelling with this diverse, you know, with this woke agenda and this diverse cast, which doesn't make sense within the context of Lord of the Rings, but also they're destroying the lore because they are, you know, basically introducing parts that don't actually fit the story. Hobbits or half-foots or whatever the hell they're called, you know, that's just because they want the same old... They're trying to capture the success of Lord of the Rings again and, you know, kind of produce it in this corporate, like, production shitty way. And it's just so disgusting and so sad to see. The other thing that's going to completely destroy this is the amount of CGI used. It just looks goddamn ridiculous. I mean, that looks like a video game cutscene. It doesn't look like a TV show. And you know they're just going to be lazy. They're just going to make it, you know, really, really bad with its terrible CGI bullshit everywhere. Sloppy writing, sloppy cinematography. They're not going to take their time to produce something of quality. They're just going to slap a name on it because it's recognizable and just milk it like they did with Star Wars, like they do with pretty much everything now, because remember berries, I remember Lord of the Rings. The main character, okay, she actually looks badass. I've got nothing against a strong, independent woman, you know, being a warrior or whatever. That actually looks kind of cool. But the problem is when you actually mess up the history of, you know, like having now a diverse cast of, you know, hobbits or of dwarfs, when, you know, geographically it doesn't make any sense within the context of that universe, of that fictional universe, then you're gonna piss off a lot of people because you're destroying something that they love. Because funny enough, Amazon didn't create Lord of the Rings. It just shows you that with enough power, you know, these corporations can just take something and destroy it for their own personal gain, and it's just so disgusting. It's actually a much bigger issue than the mainstream media is trying to make it out to be, and the reason why they're attacking the fan base and calling all of the fans are suddenly racist because that's the only thing that they can think to do is just name calling, you know, that doesn't mean anything anymore. When that's not the case, this is really, really damaging to future storytelling, and that's a massive thing for humanity. And I'm not even joking here, it's pretty crazy. So that's why people are pissed off about Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, and that is why the Rings of Power has gone woke, because they know that this agenda is the thing that makes them the most money. They know that this is how most media is going to be now in the future, and it's just so sad to see because this doesn't make sense within the context of Lord of the Rings. They're just going to destroy it with CGI bullshit, and the people behind it are two completely unknown. Just, I don't know, who the hell are they? They have never done anything before, you know, which is absolutely crazy that they're handing over such a massive project to two completely unknown characters, you know, who have never produced anything of quality before. And the only reason that they've done this, because they're a bunch of unknowns and they're not creative geniuses that have morals and have standards, they know they did this because Amazon can then just buy. Amazon can basically just be completely in control, and, you know, they will bend to their will because they want money and because they don't really have, you know, a passion for creating something true to the actual history and source material of Lord of the Rings. And that's the sad thing, is nothing is respected anymore. It's just so sick. So here we are, this is a new article that I just think sums it all up, and it's disgusting, okay? Lord of the Rings of Power, why fandom? The evil fandom that are all a bunch of racists, never mind the actual logical arguments that have just been made, because no, let's just, let's put a blanket over it and just call everyone racist. That will solve the problem. That will bring everyone together by calling you a racist. Hey, you're a racist. Hey Jimmy, you're a racist, you know. Thanks. Just imagine, that's gonna be the morning greeting in your neighborhood in the future. Just, I noticed yesterday that Jimmy went to school, but he didn't actually carry his little rainbow flag on his backpack. I'm afraid that your son is a racist. I don't want him coming around to my house anymore. Just stay away from me, you goddamn racist. That's where the future's heading. Anyway, Lord of the Rings of Power, why fandom has to embrace change. I'm just gonna read this in its entirety just to highlight how disgusting it is and just how obvious it is that they aren't recognizing the actual issues that the fans have and the people who love and respect the source material, that they're just, you know, categorizing everyone who has a problem with this as a racist, when, like I said, that isn't the problem. That would be ridiculous. I'm sure there are some people, some trolls, hiding underneath all of this, who are just using this as an excuse to hide their racist views, but the majority of people aren't like that, and I certainly am not like that. I really don't care what skin color you are. I accept everyone if they're a nice human being, okay? It depends on people's personalities, not about their ethnic groups or where they were born. That's just fucking retarded, because funny enough, everyone is the same, and you should respect that everyone is the same. And if you look back at human history, you will realize we all come from the same fucking seed, so racism is completely fucking retarded. Lord of the Rings has been co-opted by the far right. Okay, just let that sink in, okay? Yeah, I'm actually not going to read this because it actually makes me very sick to my stomach. But let me just highlight this last endpoint. The recent Star Wars trilogy has also had similar campaigns waged against it. The Force Awakens was criticized for Rey, the new lead, basically being a strong independent woman, okay? Kelly Marie Tran was also abused on social media for simply being in a film after playing Rose in The Last Jedi. So this is the state of the media, okay? This is what they like to do. They are complete, disgusting scumbags who are just trying to divide people even further. So fight against the mainstream media, fight against this bullshit agenda, and stand up for the truth. And obviously the people who are outraged because of the race issue are just complete idiots. But fantasy and fiction should be respected and should be treated as such. And we don't need to see the real world, you know, we don't need to see the real world represented within our storytelling media, which is just ridiculous, okay? So that's my opinion. Let me know yours down below in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay moist, my sinners. Subscribe for a shout out.